Hello, so I'm tucked here under an umbrella in very intense sunlight here in central Montana, and I saw this nice little ranch scene, so I thought I would give this a try for painting. It's very hot here in Montana. By the way, if you're new to my channel, if you could do me a favor and subscribe, that'd be great. And hit the like button too if you like the video. Helps encourage me to keep making them. Painting under this umbrella is kind of a pain. I think this is called Bestbrella. They're really nice umbrellas. It's nothing against the umbrella at all. It's just kind of a challenge painting under it. And right now I'm just trying to establish a basic composition. Might change things around a little bit. Gonna take off my cowboy hat. Keeps bumping into the umbrella. So we're going to start out with our darkest darks. And right over here, it's not going to make much of an appearance in this painting, but there is a dark area over here. And also there's a little door right there. Gives us a nice dark. So I'm going to gauge everything else off that. I'm going to put just a hint of green down to start. Trying a new color today. Let me tell you my colors. Titanium white, nickel yellow. This is newer for me. I do use this one when I come out west quite a bit. This is the new one that we're trying. This is Cadmium Chartreuse, made by Gamblin. And it's a brighter, greener yellow. The nickel is a very dulled down yellow. This one is a very bright green yellow. This is cadmium yellow light, cadmium orange, yellow ochre, transparent red oxide, cadmium red, alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, cerulean blue, viridian, and chromium green oxide. But I just wanted to try this chartreuse color and see how it works. There are some intense greens out here. And because this cadmium chartreuse leans more toward green, I thought it might help me get in some greens a little bit quicker than some of the other colors that I use. You do have to watch it though with these greens, that you don't get crazy intense with them. So this cadmium chartreuse, it's kind of a dangerous color to use. Just because, first of all, because I'm not used to it, and secondly, because it is so intense. Now my horizon line is right about here. That's going to be important for me to be aware of. I am right along the road here. We might end up getting some dust, especially if I get some cowboys driving by me in their pickup trucks really fast. He slowed down, that was nice of him. Of course, he's making his presence known the further he goes down the road. Some cooler greens I want to get in here. Because the red, and I need to get on that red soon because the sunlight is going to constantly be shifting and changing that. But reds in sunlight, I have to admit, have always been a bit of a struggle for me. And so the more surrounding colors I can get blocked in to gauge that, the more successful I'm going to be. A lot of times I would just start with the barn and just get that structure in right away, because that's going to be the fastest changing element. But because I'm not terribly confident with my reds, the more I can get down around it to judge that, the better off I'll hopefully be. Okay, so now with these reds, let's get in the shadow part first. And I see some color in there in those shadows, so I want to try to get that color to show up. On this side it gets even lighter. A little pinker too. Okay, so with that in there, actually I should switch to a slightly bigger brush. Now this is where I'm going to get really quiet on you, because I'm really trying to gauge these colors and values. And notice I'm not just grabbing one, cadmium red and using that alone. I'm mixing other colors in. Not to be cute or anything, but you want to see colors as tools, not as masters, but just tools to get where you need to go for color and value. There's no magic color formula for anything when you're dealing with life. There are some artists will have formulas or systems, if you will, that if you always mix these two colors together, you're going to get pretty ocean water or something like that. And that appeals to the instant gratification crowd. But I tell you what, if you're painting from life especially, and you want your paintings to look realistic, you got to go way beyond that. That's why I call my channel Beyond Painting Secrets, because there really are no secrets, much to certain people's dismay. They think there's just some trick or something like that, and there's not. It's really just learning how to see things, how to see color, and then just mixing it. If there is any secret, it's this: you're just looking for, whether a color is warm, cool, light, or dark, and then you just use the colors on your palette to make the adjustments to get those results that you want. So let's say I'm painting like a red barn, like I am now, and if my red is too dark, I need to lighten it. Well, if I lighten it with something like titanium white, that's going to cool it as well. And in sunlight, maybe I don't want it cool. I probably don't want it cool. I probably want it a little bit warmer. So while I can use the titanium white to lighten it, it'll have that cooling effect, because titanium white is a very cold color. And so what I have to do is I have to then compensate with something else. I might have to add a little more cadmium red. I might have to add maybe some yellow or some cadmium orange to make up for the cooling effect that the white has. But I don't think about it in terms of formula, like, okay, if I mix these two colors together, or these three colors together, I'm going to get that color there. It's not how it works at all. You're starting with an approximate, and then you're just basically making adjustments. And over time, you learn your colors well enough to where you can make those adjustments pretty confidently. Say I'm working with green, and the green is too intense, and I just need to bring the intensity down just a little bit. I might not jump to red, which of course will neutralize green really fast because it's opposite on the color wheel, but maybe because I only need to desaturate the green a little bit, I might jump to alizarin, which is a cool red, which is not going to have such a drastic effect on the neutralization of the paint. So that's how you want to think about color. there are good things you need to know and things you need to do to learn how to achieve the effect you want. But you can't just learn the formula. You see all this stuff like The Secret of Painting Ocean Waves, and there's videos out there all over the place for hundreds of dollars, and the secret to painting, you know, an old car in the field or this and that. And that's if you want to learn how to just paint that one subject in that particular lighting on that particular day in that particular season, then by all means those things are great. But if you want to really learn how to see nature and how to know the fundamentals to be able to replicate numerous different subjects in nature and not just that one particular thing in that video, then you got to go beyond that. Like for instance, you know, you could watch this, I could title this video, you know, painting a red ranch barn. And this is great for painting a red ranch barn in late morning light in Montana in the middle of summer on a perfectly clear day. But if I come back to this scene later this evening, it's going to be completely different, and I'm going to have to use a whole completely different set of you know, colors and mixing and values and everything to get it looking how it would at that time of day. Or if I came back in the fall or even in the winter time, it's completely different. So basically, long of it is, or the short of it is, I should say, if you really want to learn how to paint nature, you have to learn the fundamentals. And one video, even one video from me, is not going to get you there. I'm not saying don't watch. I love having you watch. I'm just telling you how it is after many years of painting. All that said, if you are interested in studying and learning the fundamentals and mastering your techniques so that you can go out and paint with confidence, I do teach live online classes through Zoom. We meet every Saturday. Now, we do work on one painting from start to finish, because while learning how to paint one painting is not going to make you a master, as I said, one of the best ways to learn, of course, is within the context of painting. And so every month we start a new painting, and there's different fundamentals you'll learn from that. And I also go through and teach you fundamentals, not just for that particular painting, but that will help you for future paintings. The absolute must, though, is if you want to achieve all the stuff I just talked about, is you just got to get out and paint on your own. No amount of teaching from me or anybody is going to replace that. However, I will say this from personal experience, is that if you get good instruction, it's really going to shorten the journey for you. I spent many years painting on my own, and the great thing about getting good instruction is that it'll teach you, you know, what to look out for when you get feedback. And that's the nice thing about my classes, is because they're live. You're not just watching a video, but you get personal feedback on your painting and see where, you know, where your mistakes are, where you need to improve. And and what you need to look out for. I didn't have any of that, and it took me it was a long learning curve for me. But when you combine diligent effort with good instruction, you're going to learn by leaps and bounds. And that's like that with anything. I used to teach music, and I knew all the music theory, you know, all the scales, the modes, you know, arpeggios, 2-octave arpeggios, doing modes in seconds, thirds, fourths, and fifths, in syncopated rhythms. I went to music school. I was the honor graduate in my class, and I taught bass guitar. But anyway, I you know, would go out and teach other people to play, and you know, I teach them all the modes and everything, but you know, I always had those students that wouldn't do it. They wouldn't learn it, and they wouldn't get any better, and they get frustrated, and eventually they probably just stopped. And it's probably just because their heart wasn't into it, you know. And that you try things and you find out, oh, that's not for me. And but then I had students who would diligently apply the concepts I was teaching them, practice the modes, and in a way music is a bit more challenging than art, because art, as long as you can move a paintbrush around, there's nothing physical really about it. With music, there is a big physical aspect to it, of having to condition your hands and everything. And so you had to practice not just to, you know, improve your ear, but a lot of it was just to condition your hands, not just knowing the modes. So it is, in a way, even more challenging in some aspects in art. But the gist of it is, if you want to get good at something, you got to work at it on your own. Get good instruction, and then put in your own efforts. But anyway, if you're interested in the classes, say all the sessions are recorded, so you don't have to be there. It's really good if you are, if you can make it, because you know, I give like feedback and everything. But if you can't make it, no sweat. You can watch the recordings later. Email me your painting, and I'll let you know how it looks, what you need to fix, all that fun stuff. There's a link below that takes you to the waiting list, and sign up for the waiting list. I'm not going to sell your email or anything like that. I hate that garbage myself, but I will let you know. I also might send some helpful articles out from my blog. I do some blogging too when I have time. But I'll let you know when a spot opens. We only let people in once a month, just because you don't want to come in halfway through a painting that month. Cool thing is, once you become a member too, you get instant, immediate access to all our other sessions from past months. So if there's something else you wanted to learn how to paint, you can watch it and watch the recordings. I also do a full demo myself outside of a teaching situation, so that you can kind of get the best of both worlds. A little different teaching, especially teaching live versus just painting. So I give you the best of both worlds. And we have a live Q&A and critique session. I'll look at other paintings you've done and give you feedback. So it's cool stuff. I like doing it. My students like it. Spots may not always be open, but if they are, you'll know about it. Okay, so got quite a bit of the barn done. I can breathe a sigh of relief. I'm painting this fairly small, and there are some other things going on there. I'm not going to obsess about getting every single little architectural detail in this. Big horse trailer just went by. As I said, I'm not going to worry about getting all the architectural details. This painting would probably be an architect's nightmare, but architects' drawings, in my opinion, are not very artistic. They're wonderful for mathematical precisions and building the buildings, and you could argue that they're art in and of its own right, but they're not anything that I personally would want to hang on my wall. And I like leaving, as the great prophet Bob Ross said, things that others might consider happy little mistakes. Okay, so I'm going to get some of those cottonwood trees in there. Big, beautiful trees. I'm going to start out with an approximate dark tone and then build up from there into the highlights. And I'll cover up pretty much the whole area of the tree with paint, keeping it somewhat thin. I'm not using thin paint like as in soupy paint, but you can see a lot of transparency in the canvas. The big horse trailer again. It's very nice. People, for the most part, tend to slow down here for you when you're on the side painting. I guess because they know what dust is like. Other parts of the country, they'll just barrel right by you like you're not even there. Grab some more of this Cadmium Chartreuse, mix it with some Viridian. That does give kind of a nice green color. It's a very clean color, that Cadmium Chartreuse. Very prismatic. It's supposed to get to almost 100 degrees today here. But I'm heading up into the mountains after this and spending some time up there painting. You might have seen videos from that already. And it's a little cooler up there, which is nice. You just have to worry about getting eaten alive by a grizzly bear or something. So far that hasn't happened. Obviously, I'm still here painting, but... Okay, now we have an ATV coming. Let's see if this guy is as nice as the others. I gotta get some more Viridian on my palette here. Okay, Viridian's replenished. I'm actually gonna back off on my Viridian a little bit because I'm running slightly low on it. Let's see what this Cadmium Chartreuse does. Actually, that Cadmium Chartreuse mixed with Ultramarine Blue gets very close to Viridian. There's that. There's Viridian. It's almost, you almost can't tell any difference whatsoever. So that's good. I do have some more Viridian, but not a ton, and I'm going through it a lot faster than I thought I would. Go figure, I guess it's summertime, right? If my head pops into the camera, you'll have to forgive the appearance of my hair. I just look atrocious. I do not, when I go on these painting trips, I kind of leave hygiene behind, much to the dismay of my beautiful wife, I'm sure. Just because I get up in the morning, I try to head out right away. And the one thing about summer is the days are so long. Here the sun doesn't set until after 9 o'clock. And it's at the very end of June. So we just passed the summer solstice. And I try to make the most of it. So by the time I get home, we're back to our rental place, which is about an hour and a half to 2 hours from where I've been painting, because we are on a budget, big time on this trip, and kind of taking a business risk with this whole thing. But cheapest place we could find was in Billings. Everything else that was close to where I'd like to paint is astronomically expensive. So so I get home very late, well after 10 o'clock, and I get up in the morning and head out again. Here comes another horse trailer. might have seen a white just fly in front of the camera. I tried to put a tissue there. This camera is really good. It doesn't overheat. I haven't had it overheat yet, but I've also not had it out in almost 100-degree weather, which is, we're not there yet, but we're supposed to be getting close to it. Because I'm more used to Midwestern and Eastern hot weather, the humidity here is so low, and I'm not used to that. It doesn't, and this might sound cliche, but it's true, it just doesn't feel as hot to me. And so it's hard for me to tell that it's almost 100 degrees. Now, I drink water like crazy, and I brought water with me, and I also brought a filter so I can go into a stream or something like that and get water. Because I think I drank well over a gallon of water yesterday, and let's just say I was not rushing to find a bathroom, because I guess you know, it doesn't even barely feel like I sweat, and I guess because it's just evaporating so fast. So anyway, enough about my personal biological woes. It's probably, everyone's probably like that. Is way TMI, big time. Sorry, I tend to talk a bit freely. When you're out here completely by yourself and you're talking into a microphone, sometimes the things that come out of your mouth, just because I can't see anybody's reactions, are just like, probably shouldn't have said that. But it is what it is, so. Anyway, back to art, which is the whole reason why you guys are watching this in the first place, is the highlights in the trees, I'm keeping them fairly subdued. So, you know, you never want to get too light with those highlights. Okay, so that was kind of neat. Had some company, the people who live here. Of course, curious, as a lot of people are, and wanted to see what I was doing. You see a person camped out on the side of the road with an umbrella in front of your house or in front of your property. You're probably a little curious as to what the heck's that guy doing, especially when it's really hot out. But very nice. They told me a little bit of the history. Apparently they've been living here a long time, their family, and so I got to hear some of the history of the area. I'm just putting in some indications of shadow on these distant trees. Now I want to get in some of that distant hill there. According to the kind people I was just talking with, they used to herd sheep on these hills back before they had fences. It had to be quite a task. I don't know what kind of animals they would have been up against back then, but I've wondered if there's if there's bears around and things like that. Okay, so after getting this in, I can tell I might have to go a little lighter with it if I want to match the values exactly how they are. Maybe I don't. We'll have to see. But for sure what I need to do at this point is get in some of the sky. And I can tell you that sky is going to be pretty light because arguably the lightest value in this painting is this this roof here, this tin roof. And when I squint at it, this part of the roof basically touches the sky, okay? And you can barely see any value difference or any edge difference in that whatsoever. And it's important to note things like that, to compare those things. That's really why you should be out here, is capturing those things and comparing them with the utmost confidence that you don't have a photograph that's lying to you. Gonna clean my palette off really good. A lot of times I shut the camera off for this, but I'm just too lazy to go back and shut it off and refocus it again. Actually, I think I'm going to do it with the palette knife. There's quite a bit of area to cover there. And mixing this with a palette knife really helps keep your paint from getting eaten up in the brush. And it's a great way to keep your colors super clean. Okay, and I'm taking a nice clean brush, dipping it in just a little bit of mineral spirits. Test that out. I can maybe use a little more color in there. You can see, at least right here, I'm barely darker than the white of the canvas. And that's why I almost always do my skies first, because if I don't, I have a tendency to paint them too dark, and it just completely throws off my values. That was a trick that Matt Smith talks about in one of his painting videos. And I know I just got through harping about painting videos. They're good things. I mean, this is a painting video, so. And you definitely want to watch them and get what you can out of them. You can learn little tricks and things like that will help you. It's just, you can't just rely on tricks, though, to become a good painter. Oops, there went my little paper towel. I put a paper towel on top of the camera to keep it from overheating. I think I said that earlier. This time I put a paper towel with rocks on to keep it from overheating, but using some cobalt blue and some Viridium mixed with white for this sky color. I should go get that paper towel quick. You've heard me say this before, skies have a certain gradation to them. As they go up higher, they're going to get a little darker, a little richer in blue. They go high enough to get almost to a deep ultramarine blue. And test that out when you go out, you know, especially if you live in an area where you can see really far out there. You know, look at the sky and then look at above you, and then look at the sky and the horizon. Just kind of move your head from the top down to the horizon and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And that's why you can, oops, I got a little bit of that green color in my sky. I want to keep that out. Okay, so pretty much all the white is covered up except for this white down there. I'm not worried about that. I might just leave that, who knows. And I can go back in. Let's clean the palette a little bit. Can move that off to the side. Now I can go in and really gauge my values. And my color relationships too. Sorry, I think I keep brushing the microphone there. Sorry if there was a sound of like a hurricane there. All right, so first thing I want to do is I want to make a few slight adjustments to this, to the color in this barn. It's actually some more neutral, almost slightly greenish tones in there. Now this side of the barn, as far as making any kind of tonal adjustments, that's done because the sun is shifted around there and it's pretty much completely illuminated by sunlight. So we can't do that. It's always very important when you're plein air painting to analyze the scene and ask yourself, you know, what's going to try to figure out what's going to change the fastest. And then try to jump on that as quick as possible. And if you get that stuff locked in, the sooner the better. Just gonna get this little cupola thing in there. Wanted to say too, if you're interested in supporting my channel, I have a Patreon account set up where you can contribute a monthly amount, a small monthly amount, and helps pay for things like extra canvas, paint, brushes, photography equipment. Video editing software, all that fun stuff that a person has to invest in before they can even make a video. Not to mention the gas to drive out to places like this, so on and so forth. I know there's ads on here, but the ads don't pay. They definitely don't support this by any stretch of the imagination. So if you'd like to help, that'd be awesome. And you contribute a monthly amount, you become a Patreon supporter. It starts at $3 right now. During this viewing. And $3 gets you early access to my videos, but if you go $5 a month or more, depending on how much, you will actually get automatically entered into a monthly drawing to win one of my sketches that I do here on YouTube. I do not give away my Western sketches because, or rarely do I, just because I don't live out here, so I really need to have these for a reference. But I will give away a lot of my other sketches that you see me doing on this channel. They will be unframed, but you can definitely frame them. And they will be signed. That's just my way of thanking you for helping out. So if you'd like to help out, like to do that, link is below. And if you do, I thank you. If you don't, I thank you either way, just for watching. And maybe giving me a thumbs up if you have. Okay, so the perspective and architecture on this is far from perfect, but it's pretty small on here. And as I said before, I'm not trying to win the praises of an architect on this one. If I were painting this bigger, I would be a lot more fussy about it, but when you're painting this small, you know, there's only so much you can do, and I like painting small with these when I'm out west, especially because I like to get as many studies done as possible so I can bring them home and have a lot of reference to work with. Okay, so let's go back, mix some more of the tree color. I'm going to start with that cadmium chartreuse and ultramarine blue. Throw in some yellow ochre and some white to lighten it up a little bit. Lighten it and warm it, I should say. Give that a test. It's not too bad. I just threw in a little Viridian. Oh well. Keep hitting the umbrella with my brush handle. See, I really hate being tucked under these umbrellas, but it's so bright out here, I have to keep the light off my canvas and easel. Want to make sure when I'm doing these highlights on these trees that when I look at the tree, that I constantly squint so that I look at the whole scene. If I look at just the tree itself, and especially just the highlights itself, I'm going to start painting these highlights super bright, and then it's not going to totally violate the principle of angles at consequent values, which is one of the biggest reasons why many landscape paintings, why most landscape paintings that fail, it's one of the biggest reasons why, is because of that principle being violated. And that's something I really hammer onto my students during my classes, is that concept of angles and consequent values. So you have ultramarine blue and cadmium chartreuse. It gets you very close to viridian. And it makes a nice shadow green too. Okay, now we're going to put a few sky holes on the tree, and I want to make this blue a bit darker. Sky holes, because of the principle of diffraction, are always going to be a little bit darker than the main element of the sky. See, even that's a little too light. Okay, I think that's pretty good for that. Boy, I'm definitely starting to feel the heat now. Okay, so time to make a few value adjustments here. Grabbing some nickel yellow and some white. Want to push that back some. Really trying to squint at these distant trees and get them looking correct as far as aerial perspective and shape and value. And that hill back there, we need to go a little bit brighter with that. Whew, that threw up a lot of dust. Now this, I'm applying some pure white onto this roof. Now I talk about how you rarely ever want to use pure white, but I'm okay doing this because I'm mixing it in with the color that's already there. Oh, we got another horse trailer coming. A lot of dust. Okay, there's lots of stuff on this in this scene. There's all these rusty little bars and fence things and all that. I absolutely love that stuff. But what I also love doing is seeing what I can get away with with just an implication versus having to paint every single thing. To me, it makes for a more interesting painting from a viewer's perspective as well as an artistic perspective. I don't have to show everything exactly how it is, but I can suggest it. This umbrella is going to be tough to move around. Let's see if I can bring that down somewhat. I'm going to hit my head more, but it'll be away from my hand. And when you're doing these scenes like this, and you see all this little stuff going on, you know, don't feel like you have to paint everything exactly how it is. You know, you have to figure it out and go, oh, that's a fence post, or that's you know, some kind of barrel or tank. It doesn't matter. Just paint the suggestion of it and leave it alone. You don't have time to do all that stuff anyway. If you want to capture the light. Now, if you're one of those, I'm doing alla prima. If you're one of those artists that have the luxury, if you live around the area, you can go back as often as you like. However, you still have the dilemma of the light source, being the same. What if it's not going to be sunny for like another 7 days, and then you can't make it back there for quite a while? That can be a bit of a dilemma. And just so you can get a bunch of detail that isn't necessarily going to make your painting any better. Might impress somebody, but if you don't capture the light, which is done by getting good color and value, and because the light's constantly shifting, so are those elements. If you don't capture that, then you might not have that great of a painting, despite the one or two people that will go, ooh, nice detail, and then they'll walk away and you're left with a painting that you're not quite as happy about. Let's use up the rest of that cadmium chartreuse. Ultramarine blue. And a touch of white. Gets me fairly close to Viridian. I'm going to add some cadmium yellow light. One more thing I want to add in that I think will make this painting or this sketch kind of interesting. Want to lighten the value of this one up a bit, and because I went over thick paint, in order to lighten the value, I just have to go over it a couple more times. Okay, I think we will call that a sketch. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.